I can teach you because I am native Portuguese speaker, but I am more focused on the middle and advanced one because I do like to talk about more complex topics, culture, what is going on in the country, politics, blah, blah, blah. And also, talking specific about the language that I speak, is that you have to be respectful. Consider that sometimes I just say, oh, but in Portuguese, we say this, and that. But there are other countries that, and they do not agree with what I'm saying. There are like 8 different countries where they speak Portuguese, Portugal, and other countries in Africa. And you have to be respectful of, like, of course, when I scout my videos, I always say like in Portuguese, we say like this, but I have to consider that there are other countries that speak Portuguese. Maybe they speak in a different way. Maybe they don't agree with what I'm saying. So yeah.
Very interesting because so people like, so let me get this straight. Like people usually correct you in the, you're talking about the comments or you're talking about the people that come to your as a lesson? Like that's the part that I kind of didn't catch it.
Both, but not exactly about correcting me. It's about, for example, I have a student. He was very like he has a big group of Brazilian friends, and then he went to Portugal, and then he started like talking to a Portuguese girl. And he was like, "Oh, but this that you've been teaching me doesn't make sense in Portugal." I was like, "I know, but I'm teaching you Brazilian, so but I have to be respectful in a way like it's still the same language. It's just with a different accent, with a different perspective from a different country. I cannot say the Portuguese that I speak is the right one. It's just maybe the most popular because I come from the biggest Portuguese speaker country, but it's not the right one. So I have to be respectful, like in this way, that we are the biggest Portuguese population like speaker, but we're not the only one.
And if you have people here listening to our podcast right now who are so interested in what you are doing that they would like to start it themselves too, like start creating content and teaching languages on social media, what advice would you give them?
First, I would say you have to have some sort of like self-confidence. Just trust yourself. You gotta be from the camera. You're gonna expose yourself. So self-confidence. And second, always think about when you're doing something like, would I like to watch this video that I'm doing? Sometimes people they do some content trying to please a lot of people, but like, would you like to watch your own video? Is your own content like nice? Is it interesting? Is it good to learn? Is it funny? Would you like to watch your own stuff? That's a kind of question we have to ask all the time. And there's always, like I said before, you cannot please everybody. There's always someone that is not going to like you in your videos. So that's why you have to keep doing. If someone say, oh, I don't like a video, I don't think it's a good one, but if you do trust in your job, if you do think it's a good one, if you think someone is going to like to watch your videos, just keep doing. And also a very important topic is you need to know about your own, not only about Portuguese, but you need to know about your own country before going to teach your language. I got so many students, they came to me and they're like, oh, I got a very nice teacher, the person's very good in explaining grammar, but then I asked some basic stuff about culture or the geography or what's happening in the country, they don't know what to answer. So I would say, like I said before, for me it's impossible to not connect the language and the culture. So get to know about your country, okay? The geography, the history, what's happening with the, inside the country. So get to know because people are going to be curious about it.
One thing that I want to add that I think is going to be a very interesting piece of advice for people that are starting their channel, because a lot of people that I know and they start their own YouTube channel or like their content creator channel, they always are scared of the part, oh, would I like to enjoy my own content? Because sometimes they find it awkward. I sometimes, when I do edit my own clips, I'm like, oh God, this guy's talking again. Asia. So one thing that a lot of people that I learned from people that I've been speaking to is I think it's a very interesting, it's a little bit far away from language learning, it's more about YouTube channel, is to create yourself as a character. Like a lot of people have been starting to kind of mitigate the whole like, oh, I need to be myself, into like, oh, I'm going to create a character. That way, when I'm looking back at the videos, I'm like, that's not me that I'm talking about. This is my own original character that I'm acting out. And that makes like looking at yourself and creating consistent content much more accessible. Now, again, this is not very connected to the language learning part. It's more about for people that are trying to make content creation as a full-time job. But I found that little piece of advice, and I think it's a very good advice for anybody. Like, Flanderize yourself. If you don't know what flanderizing means, it's just like taking some nice little element that makes your personality and exaggerating it, of course, to a certain degree. But the idea is that you can take some elements about, let's say, you're a Portuguese content creators and you love about learning Brazil. You can kind of be a little bit exaggerated about your love for Portugal, for Brazil, Portugal for Brazil.
Wrong continent.
It's about loving Brazil and being very loudly and very like passionate about loving Brazil. This seems like a no-brainer for you, but for a lot of people, this is not as easy. Okay, so you can create your characters like, oh, I'm my original character. That is it. Boom. Now you have an entire different persona that you can hide yourself. And when you're watching back your content, you'll be like, that's a pretty cool character that I made. So this is my piece of advice for content creation, to be a little bit more confident in front of the screen. I don't know how this is a little bit of a tangent. I'm sorry. But...
No, it's fine.
No, but
It fits.
I agree. 100%.
But now we've covered the part of content creation. Let's a little bit scale back a little bit. Let's take this wonderful journey that you created and kind of go a little bit more broad, a little bit. Let's get philosophical right away. Okay? So like, what's the biggest, in your opinion, what's the biggest lesson that teaching Portuguese has taught you about how people learn languages in the first place?
I would say there is no a general method that works for everybody. So it doesn't matter which language that you're learning, you have to try different methods. Try different ones and see which one works for you. There's no miracle one's gonna work for everybody, that everybody can learn with the same one. No. And second thing that I always like to mention, I think language is power. So if you speak a different language, you can communicate, you can travel, you can influence people. This is powerful. So language is it's power. And learning as much language you can speak and communicate gives you a lot of power.
I think that's a very powerful message, especially because everybody, when joining into a language that they don't understand it, too pretentious, that sometimes they're like, oh, I want to learn language. Yes, why not? But the real life long-term benefits are very, very palpable. But now it's into your soul, Mr. Guilherme. What has teaching Portuguese said about yourself?
Well, the most important thing that's still learning about it, it's to be more patient. Speak slowly and respect people's time. You know, everyone has their own time, everybody has their own speed. I do speak very fast. I am a very fast person. So I would say the biggest lesson that I'm still learning every single day is respecting people's time. I got a couple of students, they said before, can you just go slower or go too fast? So like, yes, you can do it, of course, no worries. And this is something that I've been, it's like about my own life. How sometimes just taking it to something, no worries, we're good.
Yeah, I feel like any teacher will probably have gone through this phase of their careers as well. Like, I don't know if you're, like, when you're doing your own teachings.
Yes. Actually, I just thought about that sometimes it's the other way around too. If I have somebody who says to me, well, I want to learn German on B1 level, and then turns out they're quite good already. They might not have dared to ask for more, but they're quite good. So at some point they ask me, can we go faster, please?
It happens as well. Yeah, that can happen. But in my case, it's always the one asking to go slower.
Yeah, I think also depends on the language that you're speaking, because like in your case, Portuguese is more of a fun language that people learn, like just, to learn about languages, not necessarily out of work reason. I would feel like German, that is a little bit different, where people learn it at school a lot more often, and people usually do it because they want to find a job in Germany or somewhere around. So I feel like there's also that difference where people already have a basis to continue and pursue it.
Absolutely. And I think sometimes it's also because they're kind of scared of German, because we have so much grammar, and so already when you want to talk and you don't know the right article, you're kind of already, it keeps you from talking at all. And there are so many words with articles in a sentence. So I understand that sometimes this can be a bit scary or seem like a lot. And that at some point they gain their self-confidence, and then they feel like, okay, we could go faster because actually I has already learned that.
And One of the little thing, we're not going to go too much into that because I don't think we have time. Otherwise, it would be an entire new episode about it. But you have been traveling a lot as well. Like, for example, you're calling us all the way from Thailand, which is a very, very interesting place to have a podcast conversation with. But has living and traveling abroad changed your relationship with your own native language?
Oh yeah, 100%. Like I said before, I notice how you're very specific. You like to describe things with a lot of details. And also, talking about the other Latin language, especially with Italian and Spanish, it makes me get more like into it and how similar we are. And I know maybe they don't understand us very well as we do, but like traveling, getting more in touch with Spanish speakers and Italians, we feel like there's a lot of similarities in the languages. I also think this thing is specific about the intonation of voice. Like I said before, how important this is as well. Like for example, I'm here in Thailand, and then last week I was just going to a market strip, and the way the Thai people were speaking English, they was like, "Welcome, welcome." They make it a little longer because in their own language, that's the intonation that sounds more friendly. And also this thing with the intonation, like I said before, now you can learn language with the books, but if you don't listen, if you don't hear people speak, you don't talk to them, you don't get the flow, you don't get the intonation. So yeah, this is what I think I've been learning traveling.
And is there like a specific place or like a specific languages that you got to learn that gave you an entire perspective about how these languages work? Like maybe one place that particularly surprised